Even though she's not directly conflicting the Biden tax plan, to her value proposition is we need to tax everybody fairly.
I'm Vince with RTM News. If you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. So the U.S. economy is showing pretty strong signs of a coming recession, and even the folks over at CNBC are saying that pretty publicly now. Take a listen.
Should be coming across any second now. Let me check the BL. There it is. 142,000 versus July, which revised down to from 289,000 from 114,000. June, big revision to 118 from 179. I cannot do the math. Somebody do 11 and 14 for me. That's 25,000 for the July revision, and it looks like 61,000. So what's 25 and 61 is 87 or 86, is that right? So big revision down for the prior 2 months. I'm looking at the unemployment rate. It did tick down to 4.2%.
I think we're in the type of recession eventually that comes due to this cycle of higher interest rates, higher inflation, the stress that puts on the consumer eventually hits their savings rates, increases their delinquency rates. That hits the employment markets, where we're already starting to see some signs of companies slowing down in terms of hiring. They've paused hiring already. I think the next step will be when we start to see more layoffs, and that then will bring you your run-of-the-mill, more of a normal type of recession.
Now, people can debate the true causes of recessions and what is really to blame, but especially on an election year where Americans are going to vote, there's a very simple answer for all of this, and it is called, of course, Bidenomics.
All that is called Bidenomics. It's a term we're very proud of, I must tell you, because Bidenomics is working. It's working.
It's working, she says. It's working. Well, this is exactly the conundrum that Kamala Harris's campaign is going to be stuck in, because a recent survey found that 60% of voters want Kamala Harris to abandon Bidenomics. But of course, the problem is she is currently the vice president. She is currently in power. So it's kind of hard to just say, as much as she wants to, and as much as she's kind of subtly maybe trying to distance herself from Biden, it's very hard to deny to the American people that whatever is currently happening in the economy is partially her fault or the fault of her administration. And that's just how politics goes sometimes, right? If economy is doing well, then that's a good look for your presidency. If it's not doing well, fair or not, that is a bad look for your presidency. But of course, the issue with Kamala Harris even distancing from Bidenomics is that her proposed economic ideas are significantly crazier and more radical and ridiculous. For instance, she recently proposed price controls on groceries, which is going to just bankrupt grocery stores across this country. Many of the Democrat excuses were literally that she's not actually going to do it, guys, so don't worry about it. Not even defending why it's a smart thing to do. So that tells you a lot in itself. And of course, this idea of taxes on unrealized capital gains, which has to be one of the most insane ideas ever. So how can you tax liquid cash that doesn't actually exist? I have no idea. But despite all of this radicalism, and despite obvious signs that this administration has not exactly handled the economy very well, woke billionaire Mark Cuban recently went on CNBC to defend Kamala Harris and explain why exactly, despite all of these policies that are very anti-business, and he himself admits he is going to be supporting Kamala in the 2024 election. And newsflash, it's just not a good look for him. So let's play some of that and react to it. This will infuriate you, but perhaps it is worth a listen.
On this unrealized tax issue, gain issue, and where we've talked about, those who are taking loans against their unrealized stock, et cetera, and then they say, well, if you start to tax that, we won't be able to make investments in startups. We won't be able to give money over to venture capitalists and private equity folks and other things like that. What's your feedback to that distinction? Because I wonder, once there's a critique of one, then of one policy, and you get rid of that policy, then of course it moves to the critique of the next version of it.
Well, of course, but okay. So what I told him was, if you tax unrealized gains, you're going to kill the stock market. Right. True. And it's going to be the ultimate employment plan for private equity, because companies are not going to go public. because you can get whipsawed, right? I mean, my own personal experience back from the internet days, right? All of a sudden, I was cash poor, but equity rich, right? My net worth was enormous, but the number of dollars in the bank wasn't enormous, and so I'd have, based off of the unrealized gains, I would have had to borrow money, and I effectively would have been in hock just to pay my tax bill instead of trying to run my company, and 1,000 other reasons, right? So
that's all completely true, Mark Cuban. I don't deny any of that. We understand this. So my question is, then why are you supporting Kamala Harris for president? It doesn't make any sense. You're admitting, yes, this is going to crash the stock market. This is a terrible idea for the economy. We all agree, the conservatives agree, business people, people obsessed with like economy stuff completely agree. You can tell CNBC even agrees. So why are you supporting this? Why are you supporting this campaign? Let's hear his excuse.
So they realize that's the issue. I can't repeat it enough. Even though she's not directly conflicting the Biden tax plan, to her value proposition is we need to tax everybody fairly. I'm starting from the Biden plan as a starting point, but that's not necessarily her ending
Mark,
point.
let me just say, I appreciate you calling in, telling us what you're hearing on these fronts. That's great. But as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say publicly and what they will stick to.
No, absolutely, positively not.
No, Mark, of course that's what they're doing. Of course, when you talk to them and you're trying to give them millions of dollars of donations or whatever you're doing, of course they're going to say, yeah, we don't really mean that. We're not really going to do taxes on capital gains. But her campaign has said this publicly. And what you want us to do is just believe that, no. She told me that's not what they're going to do. That's such a great political message, by the way. This is what she's saying publicly. But guys, trust me, bro. She told me something different. So what Mark is proving at the very least is that everything about Kamala's campaign is insincere. Like, she can't define policy. She just flip-flops and presents something to whoever's convenient. I don't know. What is the point of this? All right, well, I don't know. Let's see.
Right. Let me just be very
I don't know.
clear.
Why do you think that they're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things?
Right.
Well,
if they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
I get it, but you've got to get the details right. You can't just...
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election. Like, you're asking people to take a flyer.
Even if it's the day before the election, right? Even if it's the day before. Look, the next question is, the second thing I was going to mention it earlier.
I just don't want everybody to trade on what we think and what we feel and what we think may happen.
Exactly.
Just tell us.
I get your point exactly, right?
Yeah, so this is basically the entire platform and the entire defense of Kamala Harris as a candidate. They can't defend the thing she is proposing publicly, so they have to just say, no, she doesn't really mean that. In terms of the economy itself, there's no defense, right? So then they just, I don't even know what the defense is for Bidenomics or if Mark Cuban supports them or not, but it is what it is. That said, I truly believe you can only try to gaslight people so much. They see their paychecks, they see their wallets, they see their savings, they see even the struggle to find employment, which it seems like is going to be getting worse in the coming months. Ultimately, this November, the American people will have a referendum on many things, but this is one of them, right? Do they really trust so-called Bidenomics or Kamalanomics, or do they not? That said, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, I've been Vince with RTM News. Peace.